Welcome to ConstructTech TV. On today's Tech Update, I will address the IT sector outlook, coalitions for zero energy buildings, the transformation of modular buildings, printers of the future, and what's needed to rebuild the grid. First, what is a better way to start the show than with an outlook of the future of the IT sector? And I have some really good news for you. The tech sector is going to see some positive growth next year. Now, Gartner says global IT spending will actually grow 4.3% between 2017 and 2018. Enterprise software and IT services will see the strongest growth overall. Meanwhile, communication services will also continue to drive the majority of all this spending. Also, the devices segment will see some growth for the first time in 2 years, if you can believe that. Some big trends to keep an eye on include the cloud, technologies that enhance the digital workplace, and analytics. Tech purchasing is certainly on the rise in the year ahead. Now, the question you need to be thinking about is, how are you planning to spend all your money in 2018? Another big trend to keep an eye on in 2018 is the growth of net zero energy. It is something we have been hearing a lot about here at ConstructTech, and this will certainly continue. A new group of organizations are forming a coalition to advance adoption of zero energy building standards in the state of Oregon. The group is targeting both commercial and residential structures, and this coincides with the state's overall focus on accelerating energy efficiency. In November, the governor signed a new executive order, which says by 2024, state energy codes will require energy performance that is equivalent to the U.S. Department of Energy's Zero Energy Ready standards. The new Oregon Zero Energy Buildings Coalition will help meet this goal. It will provide technical and research support to state, local, and school officials. It will also support the implementation of standards established in the governor's executive order. This trend will easily come to your state next. Are you ready to build net zero energy? Another big trend that we've talked a lot about on this show is modular construction. Well, this isn't slowing down anytime soon, and we're seeing multiple new examples of modular building in both the commercial and residential side. On the commercial side, a company in China is creating modular energy storage power plants. This consists of prefabricated foundation modules and prefabricated standard containers. Now, the benefit here is a shorter construction cycle. On the residential side, we have seen modular pick up at a rapid pace. Casita, for example, offers high-tech prefabricated modular homes that come fully equipped with appliances, furniture, and even integrated home automation systems. Pretty cool, right? But these are only a few examples. Now, two companies in Italy are collaborating on modular stadiums. Now, that's right, modular stadiums. Rubner Husbau and Bear Stadiums are partnering to develop new green stadiums that offer customers these turnkey formulas. Now, these modular projects start from a minimum of about 1,500 seats. And this includes these mini wind turbines, solar panels, low consumption light towers, and other kind of energy efficient features. Now, my guess is we're going to hear so much more about modular in the year ahead. Look for them. I bet you'll see a lot of them. Your job site is getting connected, but is your office? Hardware for the office continues to advance. Case in point, printers. One example is the HP DesignJet T830 24-inch multifunction printer. It is designed specifically for the construction industry. It enables teams to collaborate by printing, copying, scanning, sharing plans, schedules, and drawings with a single device. Construction professionals can also wirelessly print project sets and documents and scan images with an app. As such, the industry talks about going paperless. I still think there's going to be some paper, but technology such as this is helping to bring the best of both worlds together. As we talk about, there's a printer on the job site. On our previous show, I discuss new research at Purdue University that is going to change how we build the smart grid. But I wanted to dive into some other news here on this segment of the show today. The U.S. Department of Energy has awarded Michigan State University a grant for a new project focusing on rare isotope beams. The new facility will support the university's energy-intensive research by building a new transmission substation. To help support this, the ITC has spent $6.5 billion to build a new transmission lines and substations or reconstruct old power infrastructure across its 7-state footprint. This will improve system reliability and interconnections of new energy sources. In my opinion, all of this research is good news for the future of rebuilding the grid. Now that's your tech update for today.
This segment is sponsored by ConEst Software Systems.
Last week, I spoke with Gary Glader, president of Horton Safety Consultants, about predictive analytics. This week, I welcome him back to the show to discuss pre-employment strength testing and the impact it is having on the construction industry. So let's take a look at what he had to say. We all know that safety is paramount on the job site. And we're joining now on this part 2 of a second conversation that we've had with Gary Glader, who's the president of Horton Safety Consultants. Gary, welcome back.
Thank you.
So Gary, when we talked last time, we were talking about predictive analytics, but we never really got into our discussion that we wanted to have about the whole strength testing that you do. Can you go into that a little bit? Because I find that really interesting when you are able to talk about injuries and what you do with employees to help companies understand that. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So one of the things that frustrates contractors is finding qualified people, but when they find a qualified person, they hire that individual. 2 weeks later, the individual files a workers' compensation claim, and during the handling of the claim, they find out that this employee had suffered 3 previous injuries of shoulder, back, or knee, which puts the contractor on the hook for the cost of adjusting that claim. This strength testing technology is able to identify who the most qualified candidates are in terms of strength or the absence of pre-existing conditions likely to be injured.
So when we talk about strength testing and these kind of things, I mean, you're looking for trying to find out if they've had a pre-existing injury or something that maybe just happened on the job site, right? Is that what you're really analyzing?
Exactly. We're trying to determine if the candidate that they're looking at possesses the strength they need to do the job. One of the things that can cause the candidate not to have enough strength is a previous condition that has not been fully rehabilitated.
Are you finding some things now, some of the things that you're looking at, you know, for union jobs? I mean, there's a lot of things that come up. I know are certain places that, you know, unions really have a chance to look at a lot of things. I know there's a lot of litigation that involves in that. What comes up there?
We have union contractors that are using this technology, and part of the bargain that a union has with a contractor is to supply qualified labor capable of performing the job. The test that we administer simply determines whether or not that union member actually possesses the strength and physical ability to do the job.
Well, I can imagine at some point you're getting some pushback on this, I would imagine.
No doubt, no doubt. Although in the cases where it has been grieved and challenged, those challenges have been overcome by the legitimacy of this test, which happens to be approved under federal labor law.
So now you're doing this in construction. Are you doing it in other industries? What kind of things are happening with this?
Very physical industries such as construction, manufacturing, industry, transportation, any job where an individual is required to use strength in order to get the job done.
When you look at this overall and you're looking what's happening in construction right now, workers need to be on the job site. They need to be there. And we know that construction is a very labor intensive. And right now, construction is really very busy right now. Jobs are at an all-time high, I would say, and maybe that's an exaggeration, but we see that we're doing a lot. They're working long hours. Is this strength testing proving a lot of things right now, good or bad, that you're finding out?
Absolutely. To your point, it is a very strong market right now. The economy is strong, heating up. Many contractors just need that warm body on the job. Our challenge is to make sure that the bodies that they do have on the job are physically capable of doing the work. But the test is very effective in screening out those candidates not capable of doing the job.
Does it take a long time to get these results, or are these something you find out pretty quickly?
Test takes 15 minutes to administer, and we get the results immediately.
What do you kind of do to actually physically do these tests? What do you do to put these folks through them?
It's actually a machine. It looks a lot like it's a machine. It's a machine that utilizes technology called isokinetic technology. Originally, physical therapists used this technology to rehabilitate individuals. Now it can be used to evaluate persons based upon the strength that they have. Interestingly, the NFL uses it at the combine. When you're making that kind of an investment in a player, you want to know that their body parts are up to speed.
So right now, is it expensive for companies to actually go through this, or is it the return on investment finding out to be very profitable for them, or worthwhile, I should say?
Each test is $150, and any contractor who's had a shoulder, back, or knee claim knows and understands that that's a small investment to avoid a soft tissue injury claim.
I'll tell you, Gary, it's been really great having you. Thank you so much for joining us again. I appreciate it. Gary Glader, he's president of Horton Safety Consultants. Thank you so much for joining us again today on Safety Zone. And don't forget, as we've been telling you, we want you to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. So that's our Safety Zone for today. What do smart labs, virtual caves, and huddle walls all have in common? They are all part of Suffolk's vision for construction. The company takes a build smart approach to business and has introduced smart labs hoping to strike new concepts and ideas for the construction industry. I'm pleased to welcome Chris Meyer, Chief Innovation Officer of Suffolk Construction. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So Chris, let's talk about, you guys do something really unique. You guys have these smart labs. What does that mean for the construction industry?
So we look at the sudden burst of innovation that's happening across all the project sites and across the industry in general, and recognize that we needed an investment in innovation infrastructure to maintain an innovation mindset that allowed us to share, scale, and develop the most sophisticated solutions to help push the industry forward.
So what was the creation behind these smart labs? Because I find it really unique to have these and to really start continuing to grow them.
So we were looking for ways to disrupt the industry. So obviously, we and everyone else are looking to improve how we do things each and every single day. And while sustaining innovation and change is really important, we recognize that there is a more systemic change that's going to happen in the industry, and we want to be a part of driving that. So we look at what the state of the possible is. We want to bring teams together side by side with newer technologies and allow the kind of wisdom of the crowd and the intellect of the entire organization to help define what that future can look like for us and then make it a reality.
So when you kind of want to disrupt the industry, it's kind of intriguing. What kind of technologies can you put in there to actually be so disruptive and unique in that way?
So there's three main value drivers. There's the planning, the control, and the experience, which is what as general contractors we tend to do. And we look at tools that are going to be analytic tools, we look at collaboration tools, and then we look at visualization tools. So we've put in place in each of the smart labs so far, with more coming online over really the next month, huddle walls and surface hubs in order to be able to work and collaborate both within teams and across the regions. We've got an entire wall, which is our data wall, made up of a 3x3 array of large displays to be able to tie information in from job sites as well as from analytics that we do. And then we have live job site feeds and information coming in directly from our different locations. And so that's how we would look to bring some analytics together. And then on the visualization side, we have a virtual reality cave, and we have HMDs using Vives in the spaces as well.
This sounds so great, Chris, because when you think of construction, you don't think of analytics. You think of the things that you're saying, virtual and design, that pops up. But analytics is really new in some ways to construction. How is that being accepted and embraced?
Actually, there's a real thirst in the organization for it right now. We look at innovation as being driven by data. That identifies where the opportunities are. It allows you to measure the value that gets created, and ultimately, then it helps drive the adoption of what those process changes are that innovation and change technologies or change processes are going to implement on the job site. So we sort of start with data. And are looking to whether it's the key performance indicators, the monthly assessments that we do on all of our projects along a variety of different metrics that we share across the entire organization, or whether it's new ways to look at information across various systems and moving into data analytics as really foundational for the whole change mission that we're undertaking.
Do you find that you can use these analytics ultimately? You know, our number one thing that we think about job sites and everything we're doing is to get information to be able to help our job sites be safer. Are you using these KPIs to do that, besides the idea of collaborating and improving and getting jobs done faster, but also making them more safe?
Yeah, absolutely. The three things that we look for all to drive are going to be safety, quality, and then productivity. And so it's really in that order. And by bringing together information, whether it's captured from sensors or whether it's captured from individuals, or whether it's information that is dynamically sourced from within the job sites, that can be pulled together and used to not only evaluate the conditions on the site, but ultimately, and we're just beginning this now, to start to look and doing predictive analytics associated with safety, so that we can look at situations which create higher risk and start to look at the factors that drive that, so that we can step in front of that and start to plan around those risks and look to improve safety. So really, that is a key starting point for us. Out of that, obviously, quality and then ultimately productivity can be driven by a lot of the same process and data collection sources that take place.
Do you think you're going to go from the predictive analytics to more prescriptive analytics by being able to use this information that you're gathering from these hives that you have and kind of advancing to using really advanced technology, conversational AI, and all kinds of things at the job sites when you talk about sensors and things like that as well?
Oh, that's definitely where the industry is heading, right? If you think of the natural continuum from data to information to knowledge, we continue to move up that curve of sophistication as you collect more information and put it in context. And so by capturing more information, regardless of what the sources are, pulling that together, we have a chief data officer and data scientist now that we've brought on board as well, because we really look at, again, this idea of innovation being driven by the data, not only to point towards where it will be most effective, but to measure that value and make sure that everybody understands where the benefits come from these types of investments.
So where do you think the big technology is going to be in the year ahead? I mean, you are clearly ahead of a lot of companies in looking at technology. Where do you see it headed?
Well, I think you touched on it before. So I think on the leading edge for this year, we're really looking, and I think a lot of other folks too, on data capture, sensors, drones, other productivity measures. I think you're going to see an explosion. We've already started to see, and we'll continue to see an explosion of ways in which information can be captured. I do think the analytics are going to be a big opportunity, because we're going to be focusing on, as an industry, on measuring that value. And then on collaboration and integration, really streamlining the work. If we look at the inefficiency that's inherent in the construction industry, there's obviously the longer term transformation and disruptive changes. There's also a lot of opportunity that sits in front of us by just doing a better job integrating information, integrating workflows, and providing better collaboration across environments. And so I think we'll see that on really this year's roadmap. For us, as we look out at the bleeding edge a little bit more, we look at the machine learning and artificial intelligence, particularly in the areas of starting to understand schedule impact and where you are as you bring the model and the building coupled together with the data around the schedule and the costs, coupled with what the actual productivity looks like. that entire plan and control process we see as having a real big opportunity. And I think we're going to see more intelligence, machine intelligence, come in to be able to support those. And along those lines, you'll start to move into predictive analytics. You'll start to move into prescriptive scheduling, and you'll start to ultimately look at ways to optimize these jobs as we go forward, leveraging the knowledge base across everything that we've done in the past in a much more consistent fashion.
Chris, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So that was Chris Meyer, Chief Innovation Officer of Suffolk Construction Company. I appreciate you joining us today for That's Someone You Should Know. Today, there is a high demand for robotic technology to help overcome the challenges of the 21st century. We certainly see this being the case in construction with the workforce shortage. Robots can take some of the strain off of all of your workers, and they are getting smarter with haptics, now which is man and machine communication based on touch. This enables users to feel the sense of touch via vibrations of forced motion. However, there have been some real challenges with this technology up until this point. Touch sensors can be difficult to calibrate, and even they malfunction in heat. Now let's not forget the key point that since its applications have been based on vibrations, its uses in business have been somewhat limited, but that's up until now. Researchers at Keio University have developed a haptic-based avatar robot with a general-purpose arm that transmits sounds, visions, movement, and touch to a remotely located user in real time. And it remembers human movements, edits them, and reproduces them. So this technology is pretty cool because it's based on high-precision motors integrated into the avatar arm and algorithms to drive them. I really love this idea because researchers at the university have set up a consortium of about 30 companies to do proof of concept projects for the commercialization of the technology. Currently, it is being tested in agriculture, helping farmers pick fruit. However, I see big opportunities for this type of technology to help construction. Robots, haptics, and avatar arms could assist the skilled labor shortage by aiding in some of the more labor-intensive tasks at the job site. So let's huddle up and think about other ways to use these haptics and avatar arms at the job site. With more help, the construction industry just might revolutionize the way structures are built in the not-so-distant future. That's your Innovation in Tech for today. If you know me, you know that cybersecurity is a topic that is close to my heart. And the number of attacks continues to rise every day. And it is costing your company and everyone a lot of money. The 2017 Ponemon Cost of Data Breach Study shows the average cost of a breach is $3.62 million. And so for this last show for 2017, I want to give you my tips for securing your data for the year ahead. First, let's just start with the basics, your password. It may sound so simplistic, but did you know that 80% of hacking-related breaches leveraged either a stolen passwords or even weak passwords? Now, that's according to this 2017 Data Breach Investigations report. Now, here's what you need to know. First, let's just encourage your workers to vary their passwords and to use unique passwords. Now, I want to just tell you this. Did you know still today, the most common password used is still 123456? Now that's pretty shocking. We're just making it way too easy for the bad guys. Building on that, my next tip is to create cybersecurity policies for your company. This should include things such as never leaving your device unattended. Be aware of clicking on attachments in emails. Nobody's going to give you a free TV. And be aware of suspicious emails or social messages. Bad actors are always looking to befriend you and to gain access to all of your information. Help your workers understand that they need to create a culture all around it and all around what you're doing. Lastly, I want you to make sure you are taking a multi-layered approach to your cybersecurity policies. And most companies aren't thinking about this. But researchers show that many companies still are depending on a single purpose or legacy defenses. A multi-layered approach ensures network protection with a backup defense solutions to cover a broad range of threats. So many companies are starting to invest in perimeter security. Now let me tell you what this includes. It includes things like firewalls and antivirus software. And that's very important. But there's so much more to consider. Think about things like intelligent remote monitoring, management systems and solutions, cloud-based domain layer protection solutions, and they can help ensure protection as well. The bottom line here, this is what I want you to think about, is installing virus protection software alone isn't going to cut it anymore. You need to protect your systems in your business from all sides. A combination of a multi-layered approach along with good employee education and even training can help you and your company be secure in the year ahead, and that means 2018. So that's your Learn It for today.
This episode of Construct Tech TV is brought to you by Jamf Now.
Today's word of the day is KPI, or should I say words of the day, also known as Key Performance Indicator. At its core, this is a benchmark or a metric, but it has a long history. KPI first emerged during the 3rd century. Emperors began rating how the members of the royal family were performing, and thus key performance indicators were born. Today, a KPI still is widely used as a way to measure performance in business. It is used to evaluate the success of an organization or the specific activity that helps a business identify which activities to engage in. KPIs have significantly advanced since those early days. Now we have the Internet of Things, predictive analytics to accurately measure and report on rework, labor, quality, defects, and even health and safety. Back in the old days, performance was often based on things like hearsay and even speculation. The massive amounts of all this data we have today can help identify and determine KPIs, leading businesses to make better performance goals for the future. I think the most important advantage of using KPIs are related to improved quality and reduced costs because they are useful in tracking labor and material costs to ensuring better outcomes. Perhaps that is something you might want to consider for 2018. KPI, Key Performance Indicator. That is your word of the day. Now, I want to remind you to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to us. And thanks for watching Construct Tech TV, where we are talking tech at the job site.
Jamf Now helps businesses manage Apple devices in the workplace. Jamf Now makes managing and securing every work iPhone, iPad, and Mac easier than ever. See the power of Jamf Now for yourself. Create an account today at jamf.com/constructtech. Start managing your first 3 devices for free. That's jamf.com/constructtech.